Howdy guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to a recap of night number 2 of the Big Brother Season 25 overnight feeds. Broadcasting this recap from a long way away from the Big Brother house. All right, we had a lot of conversations last night. You expect that with 17 people, right? Yeah, we had a lot of people talking last night. A few talking a whole lot more than others. I'm talking to you, Jared. I'm talking to you, Izzy, and I'm talking to you, Riley, as well. And Cerise certainly doing her share of talking also. We had a lot of talking. So let's get right into it, or else I'll be talking way more than I need to as well. So before we talk about what happened overnight, let's just talk about the kind of a refresher of where we are within the house as far as the official stuff. We've got, first of all, Cerise did enter the house as house guest number 17. Corey came back in after being banished, being into the netherworld, nether regions for a very short period of time. We don't know what that maybe entails, if he got a secret power, which some people have talked about, but nothing official. He hadn't said a word. Julie Chen hadn't said a word. No one has, so we don't know what's going on with Corey. But Cerise is back in that, or is in the house as a 17th guest. As far as who's on the block, remember we had the twist opening night. The losers of each competition went on the block, which happens to be Jared, Kristen, Felicia, and Corey, all on the block nominations. They're doing a little politicking of their own. And then in terms of have-nots, we've got Corey, Luke, Jared, and Hassam. It looks like this was the first night, or first day, where the have-nots were actually enforced. Cold showers, slop, upstairs sleeping on hot dogs and moldy cheese, things like that. So we do have our have-nots as well. Sounds like they all volunteered. So there you go. That's kind of the official things that are going on. Now, the big, power dynamics that are going on right now. We've got 2 alliances that have formed. Others that are kind of forming, they're somewhat fluid. I'm not sure I trust them so much, but the 2 that are sort of official as we came into the live feeds last night. First of all, we've got one group, which is, they're calling themselves the Phalanx 5. And it's Cameron, Kirsten, Luke, I'll take that back. It's Jared, Kristen, Luke, Matt, and Riley, calling themselves the Phalanx 5. Can I tell you how much I hate any alliance that has a number mixed in? Because if anyone ever overhears you, and I know about being overheard, if anyone overhears you mention an alliance with a name or with a number, they know how many people are in there, right? If you're smart, they would have called it the Phalanx 7 and let the other people wonder who these 2 mystery people are. But anyway, so we've got that one alliance again. Jared, Kristen, Luke, Matt, and Riley are in that one. I don't know how solid it is, and we'll talk about that. The other one, kind of interesting as well. This is the one that was kind of put together by Cerise. Cerise, Felicia, Nicole, or they're calling her Mimi, Kristen as a group of 4, plus the idea that each of them is going to then grab a +1 to go along with them, and they're going to pull in Jared as well. Cerise is doing a pretty good job of not making it so obvious that she's tight with Jared, but we know she'll take care of him, right? So that's the other group, is this group of 4 core with Jared, and then each of those 4 also has someone else. So 9 people. That's a heck of a big alliance. Well, we'll see how that works out. There's some discussion going on with that. All right, now, the issues we have and why there may be some drama going on. Jared, who is part of that first alliance, spilled the beans about that alliance to Cerise, and then I think Cerise told Felicia. So as a result, they're now ready to boot Kristen from their core group and go a different direction. We're on day number 1, night number 2. They're already to pitch someone out of their alliance. So no one is happy with Kristen. That seems to be the tone of the night. Just in summary, is Kristen is the house target number 1. Could it change? Yeah, there's a lot of time before we get to eviction night. But for right now, all the alliances, all the power struggles, everything else going on, they're all subject to change. They will change. But I think Kristen right now is probably the key target. But that could change as well. That's what makes Big Brother so much fun. I love Big Brother. All right. So Jared spilled the beans. Now Felicia and Cerise are upset with Kristen, amongst some other people as well. The other big deal that we'd seen kind of from night number 1 is that Izzy knows that Jared is Cerie's son. As far as we know, she's the only one that knows so far. She hadn't said anything about it to anyone else, but that's dangerous information for her to have. She can really force Jared and Cerie to work with her as long as she has that info, right? All right, so there you go. So what happened yesterday during the day itself before we get into the live feeds, which is what I'm supposed to be doing, but so much information out there. All right, we do have a new HOH. The new HOH is, drum roll please, Riley. Riley wins the first HOH. Had something to do with beams walking across. It reminds me, what was it, a couple of seasons ago where they had to choose which path they wanted to follow along the beams. It sounds like something like that. Anyway, Riley won. I think the time was 16 seconds, if I recall. Riley is our new HOH, so we'll see how that works. Riley should be in a pretty good position of power because she seems very well liked by everyone in the house already. And now she has that power as well. Possibly not getting as much blood on her hands since the nominations have already taken place also. So we got that. And it's going to give her a chance to consolidate, grab a little bit more power as a result. But here's the thing. What is her power since those HOHs, since the nominations have already taken place? Seems like, and we've had a lot of talk about it, so I'm pretty sure this is the case, of the 4 people that are on the block, Riley is going to get to remove 2 of them. So instead of making nominations, she gets to save 2 people. Talk about not getting blood on your hands, right? She can phrase this the right way of saying, look, a couple of y'all, we just didn't talk enough. We just didn't have the connections right or everything. But those other 2 of you, and nothing personal, but you other 2, you owe me because I just got through saving you. So a good position for Riley, as long as she doesn't let it go to her head. We've never seen a first week HOH let power go to their heads, right? Hey, Frenchie, how you doing, sir? All right, I love Frenchie. All right, but she's in a pretty good position with that by being able to pull 2 of the people off. Once the veto competition is held, which I assume is going to be Saturday, whoever wins the veto can certainly use it just as we would with the regular season. And then at that point, Riley can, if the veto is used, can then put up anyone other than the veto winner or obviously herself. Anyone else is fair game to go up as a replacement nominee. So that's going to be fun when we see that. It pays to be on good terms with Riley at this point in time since she's saving a couple of people, right? And it seems like Jared is certainly in that position. At one point, it seemed like Kristen maybe was in that position as well. Now, not so much, but Jared's going to be safe this week. Not exactly sure about the other 3. All right, a few other conversations that were taking place. We've got Felicia playing very hard. She told Riley that Kristen shouldn't be saved because she's playing too much and too soon. That seems to be the theme of a lot of the house. Riley thanked her for that information. At the time, she didn't really seem too enthusiastic. Yeah, a lot of people come in pitching a lot of things to the HOH. She thanks Felicia for that information, and she seems to be in an agreement. In fact, I think it was later that she was talking to Cameron where she mentions that she feels like Kristen maybe is a little bit of a pot stirrer, playing a little too hard, a little too fast. In fact, speaking of Frenchie, she said, I think Kristen is pulling a Frenchie. Riley's kind of playing her own version of Frenchie as well with the number of conversations and commitments and everything else that she's making. We'll talk about that in just a second as part of the live feeds itself. But Felicia says that Kristen shouldn't be saved because of that. Cerie then told Jared that he needed to go talk to Riley so that and to tell Riley that he wants to work with her, that he won't ever put her up if she'll just save him this week and make sure he doesn't go home. No one's ever made those kind of promises to an HOH before, right? Yeah, now Cerie is certainly coaching Jared as best she can about what he needs to do. I don't think Jared needs that kind of help. It doesn't seem like Jared last night had a lot of issue talking to a whole lot of people, including Riley, and we'll talk about that conversation. But here's the thing. These nominated house guests need to be very careful, I think, about pitching too hard to Riley, making all kinds of promises, because everyone does that. I think sometimes you're much more effective if you find your friends, your other supporters, get them to pitch to the HOH instead. and let the HOH see that maybe you've got a lot of of friends and supporters that may come after you if the HOH doesn't treat you right. That's just my opinion. All right, we did have Suri talking about also told Jared that she personally would prefer that Kristen stay over Corey. See, things change all the time. So yeah, she's seeming to not feel comfortable with Corey staying in the house, wanting him to go, even though she and Felicia feel a little bit betrayed by Kristen going over to this other group as well. And of course, it goes without saying that she wants Jared saved, and Felicia is also. Felicia and Suri seem to be very tight with each other. Later, Kristen tells Suri that Riley said that Kristen was good. Lots of talk going on. But it's not looking good for Corey either. I think Felicia's fine. I know Jared is fine. Where it comes down to eventually is going to be who remains on the block come eviction night, Kristen and or Corey, and of those two, which one actually goes home. Again, the house target still, by the end of the evening, seems like it's Kristen, but Corey's not far behind in terms of someone who could be heading out that door. All right, we've got Jared talking to Matt and Luke. I think they were in the storage room at this point in time. They're trying to do the same thing that Suri had talked about that's happened in past seasons. Jared's talking to Matt and Luke, suggesting that each of them could grab an extra connection and be just like the cookout. Yeah, he threw out season 23's The Cookout as an approach. They're talking about Jag and Blue and Riley as being these possible plus ones for these three guys to bring in. So we'll see if anything goes with that. Jared just very offhandedly, afterthought, says, oh yeah, we could maybe bring in Suri or Felicia also and have them as part of the group as well. That was done pretty well by Jared, I think. So we've got that. Meanwhile, multiple conversations between Riley and Jag, it seems like, at various points of the evening. I'm trying to keep this chronological, but in some degree, there's so much going on. I also want to try to combine similar subjects that took place throughout the evening just to make it a little bit more clear. Because again, so much is going on. But multiple conversations between Riley and Jag. I think these two could be tight, and as it turns out, yeah, they are tight. We'll talk about that. We did lose the feeds for a few hours. I didn't hear the conversation, but apparently I guess the stove was maybe messed up in the kitchen, so maybe they went into lockdown or something. Don't know. But the feeds were off for a few hours. Nap time for old Boss Hog. Feeds came back after a little while. Some other conversations as we get into the evening. We've got Hasim and Izzy talking in the comic room. Izzy has been talking to a lot of people, establishing a lot of relationships. As long as she doesn't overdo it, I think she's doing what she needs to do. She just has to be subtle in the way she does it, because she is talking to a lot of people. But Hasim and Izzy are talking in the comic room. Both of them are agreeing that Kristen and Corey should stay on the block, that it should be one of those two that go home next week. We've got Corey, who's on the block, talking to Hasim in the have-not room. He's warning Hasim that Suri might just be charming him. He says, she may be doing exactly what she did on Survivor, just charming all the rest of the game players at that point in time. He's right. Oh Lord, is Corey right? But he has to be careful. Suri is not on the block. Suri is exerting a lot of power at this point in time. For him to be throwing her name out there at all is playing with fire, considering he's on the block and she's not. I get what he says. I agree with what he says. This might not be the week to be saying it. But he does mention that to Hasim. We've got Red and Cameron. Remember Red, the big character? Not really so involved in the gameplay just yet. It's amazing. You've got people that are playing a lot of game, and then you've got other people, America, Red, who else am I missing? Nicole, to some degree, that are pretty much laying low, letting all the stuff happen around them. Not a bad way to go at this point in time. But we do have Red and Cameron talked a little bit about Suri being a time bomb, wondering how long they should keep her. Here's a hint. Don't keep her any longer than you can. Suri is such a great player. She has such an incredible social game. the longer they keep her, the stronger she's going to get, the harder it's going to be to get her out the door. So yeah, it's a time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb, and you don't fool around with time bombs, right? But they're wondering about that. All right, we've got Jared. Oh, so many conversations taking place outside. We've got Jared referencing this Phalanx 5. Where'd they come up with that name? This Phalanx 5 alliance to Riley, the HOH. But she sure doesn't seem sold on it being a valid alliance. Since she mentions this, says, yeah, that was formed like right after we got in the house. So that's not a suggestion that she's really big into it, which is not good news for Jared or Kristen, since they're part of that Phalanx 5 with Riley. Again, I think Jared's safe, Kristen not so much. Later, we've got Riley talking to Izzy, and she says that she wants to get rid of Kristen because she's playing too hard. Again, that's a theme of the evening. Jared, I mentioned Izzy's talking a lot. Jared is talking a lot. Jared's been talking to a lot of people. He talked to Riley, then he talked to Jag. It's a long time until the Thursday eviction. We haven't even had the vetoes yet. Now, I understand today, I think, may be where Riley makes her decision about who to pull off. So, yeah, I understand Jared really pushing. I think he's good. He probably shouldn't be overreacting too much at this point in time, but he has been talking to a lot of people. Jared has told both Riley and Jag that he can deliver Suri and Felicia to them. That he's got the stroke. He's got the power that he can make that happen. Which, you make those suggestions. I certainly get it. But Suri found out later and is telling Jared, said, don't be pushing my name like that to other people. You can't keep doing that. So she's calling him out a little bit. I do agree. I think Jared needs to be careful about doing or saying anything that suggests that he and Suri are too tight with one another, because it's only a matter of time before someone starts making the connection every time he starts doing that. Or if Izzy ever reports what she knows, that people are going to say, oh yeah, well now that all makes sense. All right, we've got Jared also telling Riley that he had this big secret to tell her, and really I thought, well, surely he's not going to mention he and Suri, their connection, right? No, that's not the big secret Jared had. The big secret Jared had was that Kristen had tried to form an alliance on day number 1. We're on day number 2, but on day number 1, that she had tried to form this alliance of 5 people on that day. Riley comes back and says, yeah, I was in there when she did it. I'm part of that group of 5 that Kristen tried to propose. So yeah, Jared needs to be careful about the facts and who he's talking to, and making sure that everything lines up. And yeah, that was actually kind of a funny moment of the night. I guess Jared forgot that Riley was part of that little group. All right, we had a conversation with Jared, Riley, and Blue, talking about the 3 of them, along with Cameron, Corey, and Hassam, forming a strong group of 6. But Riley wants this to actually go to 8 so that they can just steamroll everyone else in the house. I don't like alliances of 8. No, don't call them Grateful 8. Don't call them anything. I don't like alliances of 8 from a personal level, but also I think 8 is just, it's too big. You can't keep people trustworthy and loyal to each other with such a large group. But Riley wants it. I get it. If you have 8 guaranteed, then you're guaranteed safe. But there's no guarantees in the game of Big Brother. You can't keep 8 people that tight. Someone's going to flip, so why even bother at this point in time? But she wants 8 people. That's really her goal. We've got Riley again talking to Jag and also Blue. This time I think they were up in the HOH room. Again, she's mentioning that she wants to build an alliance of 8. She mentions to Jag and Blue about Jared, that she really likes Jared, that Jared also has said that he can bring in Felicia and Suri, and she really likes those 2. Everyone likes Suri, right? That's why she's so dangerous. And she loves those 2. So there's 3 people that may be part of her alliance as well. We've got Corey, who is also a little more subtle, but he's been doing some politicking as well. He finally came in, talked to Riley up in the HOH room. I don't know that it's going to work. I think there's a very good chance he could stay on the block next to Kristen. But he does mention to her about being Zach's brother and having that survivor connection as well. He is suggesting, and it's okay pitch, I think, don't think it's going to work, but he's suggesting to Riley that if she keeps Jared and Kristen on the block, in other words, don't keep me on the block, that doesn't do anyone any good, keep Jared and Kristen on the block, that it's going to guarantee that Kristen goes home. Because he says Jared isn't going anywhere. Everyone likes Jared, so all you got to do is put him on the block next to Kristen. No one has any choice except to send her out the door. Riley is saying, she's not saying no, but she doesn't necessarily get on board with it. I think at one point she says, well, maybe I need to talk to Felicia about her thoughts of being on the block next to Kristen, see what she thinks about it. I'm pretty sure I know what Felicia's going to think about that. And it ain't going to be good at all. But she doesn't say no. She doesn't say yes. She just kind of hem-haws around as people tend to do. She does tell Corey that he's not her target. I think Corey misunderstood that just a little bit, or played dumb a little bit, because that always seems code word to me of saying, you're not my target. In other words, you may still be on the block. I just don't necessarily want you as target number one, but we shall see. All right. Finally, she mentions that she's targeting Kristen for being a pot stirrer, but also for trying to start a rumor on day number one about an all-guys alliance. So she's trying to come up with some justification of why Kristen needs to go out the door. I'm not sure she has to do that much. She's not voting. Just sit back and say, look, y'all two, I didn't talk to you as much. Let everyone else vote Kristen out and get the blood on their hands. But she is trying to throw out some reasons why she wants Kristen out the door. All right. We have our first, I think it's our first final two of the season. It looks like Izzy and Jared at one point, right after the end of the live episode, kind of looked at each other like maybe they could work together, but we haven't heard it officially documented. We have our first final two, our first ride or die of the season. It's between Riley, imagine that, the HOH has people promising power to them, between Riley and Jag. Oh, I'm such a huge Jag fan. I want Jag to do well. I picked him to make it to the final three. Well, now he's aligned with the HOH. They've promised eternal loyalty to each other, or at least until the end of the season. That they're going to be a final two, a ride or die with each other. I like this duo. I think I could get behind this duo competing and playing the game. We'll see if it lasts. Because, and I say that because I do think Riley needs to be careful with this HOH. She said that Kristen was pulling a Frenchie. She's kind of doing it on her own as well. She's in a great position of having a lot of control, but not getting blood on her hands since she didn't make the initial nominations. But in the interest of gathering power, she's telling everyone that she wants to, that she likes them, that she would like to work together. She doesn't say no to anyone. Everyone is coming up. She said, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. And it seems that her way of showing trust to everyone else is to be super open. She's given a lot of information to people that probably she should be keeping closer to the vest. Who she's tight with, who she worries about, things like that. She's just spilling a lot of beans that don't necessarily need to be spilled. The HOH quizzes the other people, not this way around, right? But she is giving out a lot of information. And so I'm a little bit worried that she's overcommitting, that she's going to create some bad blood when some of her claims of wanting to work with people and things like that don't pan out, and that people could get a little upset. So I think she needs to maybe slow play it just a little bit more than she is. We'll find out. But throughout most of these conversations she had throughout the whole evening, it certainly feels like Kristen is everybody's target, except Kristen, who may have another target. But everyone else, it just seems like Kristen is the house target. And perhaps Corey is a pawn is maybe the leading thought at this point in time. But here's the kicker. Corey said, if you put Kristen up next to Jared, Kristen goes home. If Kristen goes up on the block or stays up on the block next to Corey, it could go either way. I could see either one of those potentially going home. So it depends on just how solidly Riley really wants Kristen out versus just maybe making sure it's not Jared or perhaps not Felicia as well. All right. Cameron, I mentioned some people who haven't been playing a lot of game. Cameron's one of those as well. Cameron's kind of been quiet, staring off into space a few times and all that. Well, Cameron eventually does talk to Riley. He mentions to her that he would like to have a solid 5 alliance with her. Well, doesn't everyone want an alliance with Riley at this point in time? This group, I think, is according to Riley, could be her and Cameron and Matt and Jag and Blue and Jared and Corey and Luke. A lot of people in that group, right? Including Corey. She mentioned Corey's name. Does that mean that that Felicia might stay on the block instead, that Corey would be safe? Or just that if Corey survives, Kristen goes home, that then they pull Corey in? I don't know yet, but she did mention Corey's name. All right. We've got Suri talking to Felicia and McCall. Do you notice? Hopefully, let me know if I'm not, but I think I'm doing a better job of pronouncing the correct pronunciation of Suri as opposed to anything else. I spend too much time yelling at my damn iPhone and Siri and all that. But Suri, now, I'm not the only one. Felicia at one point referred to Suri as Siri as well. Maybe it's just an old person thing. But anyway, Suri is talking to Felicia and Nicole. Or Mimi. I don't know which way I'm going to go with this. We'll see what the house does. But talking to Felicia and Nicole about the dangers of working with Matt and Jag. I think she mentioned Corey, maybe Cameron, a lot of the guys. And she's basically saying they aren't talking to us. She does mention that Matt maybe is suggested, or at least the assumption is that maybe he's not talking to them because of his hearing impairment, and therefore conversations aren't as common. But Suri sees right through it. She says, if he isn't talking to me, he's talking to somebody else. And I don't like that. I don't like that he's not talking to me, so we got to watch out for these guys. Suri's smart. Felicia, meanwhile, is saying, well, yeah, I kind of agree. In fact, maybe we need to be looking at an all-female alliance. Maybe that's the way to go this year, because they've been so successful in years past, right? But Felicia wants to have, she's pointed out, said, oh, well, Suri, with you in here, it means we've got 9 women and 8 men. We could run the house. We could make it happen. The problem is, as she points out as well, they got to have all 9 women on board to actually be able to control the house if it's going to vote strictly along gender and such. So are they going to be able to pull in all 9 women for votes? I don't know. I think it's a tough road to hoe. But Felicia's suggesting an all-female women's alliance. Good luck with that, Felicia. Not that I wouldn't like seeing it happen just because it's something new that hasn't worked before. But it hadn't worked before. All right. We've got Suri. Finally, Suri had a long talk with Riley. She kind of waited till everyone else took care of business, talked to Riley. Eventually, she went up there. Suri is just a master of the social game. The way she was empathizing with everything that Riley said. She recognized what's important to Riley. And talked about being empathetic, using a lot of the same kind of verbiage that Riley was using. Sure enough, Riley spilled a lot of information. She didn't say everything to Suri, but she certainly threw out a lot about who she trusted and who she maybe was worried about and things like that. And Suri's just taking it all in, and it's doing great. At one point, Suri is talking about how much she likes Jared. She even had the comment, she said, you know, Jared is such a great guy. I would encourage my kids to go hang out with Jared. Yeah, of course you would. So Suri has a long talk with Riley. I think it just cements a bond. Riley's already said she likes Suri. She would like to work with her. Suri's in a good position of power. The rest of this house better be careful. And as far as America's favorite player, you might as well give that up unless Suri really does something crazy on down the road. Wouldn't that be interesting? But we've got that. Later, we got Suri talking to Bowie, another person who hadn't had a lot of conversations last night. Mentioned that, and I mentioned this only because of this. Suri mentions that Corey and Felicia might be staying on the block with Corey going home. I don't know where that came from. That was kind of out of the blue. Is Suri now thinking that maybe they should hold on to Kristen, that maybe Kristen would be loyal to her and Felicia if they hold on to her? There's a thought to that. No matter how much you think she's a pot stirrer and all that, hold on to her if she'll give you the votes back. If Suri can keep Kristen, let Kristen know that it's only because of what Suri did that caused her to stick around. And if the house all kind of still sees Kristen as a target, well, that's another week where maybe they're going after someone other than Suri. So there are reasons that maybe Suri is suggesting that. Or maybe she's just pulling on Bowie's leg and doesn't really think that way, but doesn't want to look like she's the one that's controlling maybe how the noms work and all that. Don't know yet. We'll find out here before too long. But But that was interesting. All right, what else happened last night? Oh, the house got together. I don't know, midnight or so. They played charades. It was Riley's birthday. Happy birthday, Riley! Yeah, what a gift on your birthday, HOH. But they played charades. They celebrated Riley's birthday. Riley, in the middle of the night, locked herself out of the HOH room. Couldn't get back in. Couldn't get into the diary room because I think someone else was in there. So she couldn't get another key. Man, I was so worried I was going to do the same thing. I always wore the key around my neck. I didn't ever want to get locked out. That was my sanctuary when I was HOH. But they eventually let her back in. At 6 o'clock this morning, 6:30, again, they're still talking. Jared is certainly talking. A whole lot of people are still talking. I had to shut it down at some point in time. So there you have it, guys. So what's going to happen? I think today they're going to have, normally today is nomination day. I think instead today is going to be unnomination day, where Riley pulls two people off the block. We'll see if that creates any drama or not. Tomorrow I expect it to be the veto competition. The big story, the big drama is going to come into play if Kristen wins veto. If she wins veto, pulls herself off, let's just assume Jared's coming off, of course, and let's assume that Felicia comes off. So now you've got Corey and Kristen. Kristen comes off. Someone goes up in Corey's place. Suddenly now Riley's got a little bit of blood on her hands. If she tries to get too fancy and leaves Felicia up there alongside Kristen, and then Kristen wins veto, well, now you got Felicia against someone else. It could be Corey. She could turn right around and put him right back on the block, and maybe that's what she would do. I don't know. It's going to be all kinds of drama and confusion if Kristen wins the veto. So here's to hoping. All right, guys, with that, we're going to shut it down. Y'all have a fantastic, what is it, Friday? No. Yeah, it's Friday. I can't keep track. Y'all have a fantastic Friday. I will be back tomorrow morning to talk about all the overnight goings on, find out who's still on the block, see how that changes up. Guys, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.